Paths to Contemplation by Yves Raguin, Jesuit. Part 1. Paths. Chapter 8. The Rhythm of the Bible. A very profitable exercise for those who are beginning the practice of contemplation is to take up a spiritual book, or better still, the Scriptures, especially the Gospels or Epistles, and simply read, stopping from time to time to reflect and pray. Reading in this fashion is like walking through the world, holding God's hand. First of all, you must allow the reality expressed in the sacred text to build itself up in your mind, because, as we have already said, meditation is not reflection on a text, but attention to the action or reality expressed in the text. The words are only the expression willed by God of his personal reality or his action in the world. Your faculties will react to the reading and form in you a representation of the reality which the text intends to convey to you. Your faculties build up, or better, you build up an intelligible representation of the hidden reality. But this representation, which should serve you as a foundation for an understanding of the mystery involved, can in fact turn into an obstacle, and it does so when it becomes the main object of your attention. Because of this, a meditation that you thought very successful may have been a failure, because it created for itself an object that was easy to manipulate. Now, the Bible urges you to keep on destroying these images of the divine that you carve out to facilitate your spiritual life. You can smash these idols by a continual act of faith in the inexpressibility of the reality revealed. You seize avidly what God says to you about himself, but once you express him in terms that you can keep in reserve for savouring at leisure, you have nothing but dried husks, empty shells, cast up on the beach when the tide goes out. You open the Gospels and read the beginning of St. John's Gospel. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was in God's presence, and the Word was God. John chapter 1, verse 1. What wonderful things there are in these few words. You should read and reread this text slowly, giving the words their full meaning, going back again and again over the text with your mind fixed on the Word, the light who enlightens you. The Word, the perfect expression of the Father, exists by the sole fact that the Father exists, and therefore he has always existed. This is perhaps too much for the human mind to grasp, but you are not asked to understand. Instead, you must reach that more profound knowledge that is attained at that point within you where your life is bound up with God's life. The Jews and the Greeks had the Word and the Logos, and the Chinese have the Tao, the Way, the Word, the principle of all things. By going over St. John's words again and again, our thoughts are projected beyond them, beyond all that our minds could grasp by themselves. And yet, by faith, by the light that comes to us from God and penetrates into the depths of our souls, these words take on meaning. It is not our minds that understand them, nor is it our inner heart that grasps them. Instead, at that point within us, where we derive from God, there awakens a knowledge that is inexpressible in human words. It is our deepest being that glimpses the mystery of God. Your thoughts may wander for a while in subtle considerations, but this should be only for a while, because your mind must soon recollect itself outside itself by finding in God the bridgehead that it needs to set foot in the divine world. The sacred scriptures are the unfolding of God's life in human language. The revelation of the mystery is by no means presented as a riddle whose meaning is clear only to scholars or to the keenest minds. This would be the case if it were a question of understanding only the text. But it is God who must be understood, not only the text. And all things considered, it is easier because it is possible for the simplest soul to outstrip the wise men on the road that leads to God. The words of sacred scripture can say much more to a simple soul than to a professional theologian, because these words say what they have to say in the divine tones that the humble understand. In the scriptures, you will find the truths and mysteries which Christ revealed in simple terms to his disciples, who were by no means theologians, but to whom he had given a sensitivity to God. And to have that sensitivity is to be a theologian. The mediated reading, the meditated reading about which we are speaking here, is within everybody's capabilities. It does not demand the same effort as a meditation that is systematic, silent and without any concrete material for reflection. After all, the ideal is not to remain as long as possible without looking at a book or having distractions. This can be a useful exercise, but it can also be harmful to the soul. The reading, meditated or contemplated, according to the passages selected, is the beginning of prayer, and then its support and nourishment. It puts the soul in contact with God's action in this world. Hence, it should not be centered on the study of biblical exegesis, which should have been done beforehand, if it is necessary. The text is the sign of God's presence and action, and therefore it is to the eyes of faith that God shows himself in the text. From the beginning to the end of the Holy Scriptures, God appears at all the possible occasions of human life. And in the end, the reader's deep attention gradually detaches itself from the text to focus on God.